So not too long ago, I made a video showcasing one of the most powerful Cyclone builds in Path of Exile. The idea was to see how far the skill can be pushed if you had access to all the currency and broken items you want. It was fun and people enjoyed the experiment. Some people even messaged me inside the game to mirror some of the items that I have used. And now speeding up to 3.16, I'm getting daily requests from people asking me to update the build and see if it's still as good as it used to be before. And yeah, in today's video we will cover all the changes to the build and see if it's still worth sinking all of your fortune onto it. As a start, the overall damage of Cyclone is much less than what it used to be before, mainly due to support gem nerfs. Now we know that when you are sinking too much currency into something, you wouldn't want to care if something got nerfed or not. But it's still important to get that into account because, well, you are spending lots of currency here. Now ultimately this isn't a big problem because most of our currency was sank toward making the build absolutely immortal. In other words, we didn't bother pushing our damage into the realm of insanity, but rather we focused on making this build a perfect all-rounder for every piece of content. That shows with our ascendancy of choice, and that is Gladiator. Now Gladiator was hit hard, but only in terms of defense. In fact, the new ascendancy provides more damage than the previous one. So as a start we begin with Arena Challenger. This node is a flat 20% more attack and movement speed while using Blood and Sand stance. It is just as powerful as the Tailwind ascendancy on the Deadeye, except that this one stacks with Tailwind buff on something like your boots. Thus it ends up faster than the Deadeye ascendancy with proper investment. Anyway, next we have Painforged. This node adds a small chance to block attack damage and makes you immune to stun against hits that you block. Next we take Violent Retaliation. This node was changed into a more powerful version of itself. Now you only need to block once every 20 seconds to get both a lucky roll on your physical damage and 100% physical penetration against armor. I'd say that's pretty easy to achieve even if you didn't invest into block chance at all. Last but not least we take Regening Veteran. With this one you can have up to 85% maximum chance to block attack damage without any help from something like your items. And yeah, that was it for our ascendancy. Now yes, I know that we did lose Versatile Combatant, but we can still pick it up from the passive tree, although it's not as powerful as it used to be before. With it now we will have no more than 60% maximum chance to block attack damage, all the way from 79%, and 50% chance to block spell damage, which previously also used to be 79%. Anyway, here is our passive tree with the appropriate adjustments to adapt with 3.16 changes. It is still the same tree that focuses on sword nodes, sword crit nodes, shield attack and block nodes, life, and area of effect from a variety of sources like increased strike range. Aside from all of these things, we have one large cluster jewel setup that adds the minimum amount of passives and gives us the following notables: Strike Leader, Martial Prowess, and Gladiator's Fortitude. From here we branch off to two medium cluster jewels that adds the following AoE notables: Towering Threat and Magnifier. And that was basically it for our passive tree. Now before we start talking about items, let me just remind you that this experiment is done on standard. Again, we are just trying to see how far the skill can be pushed in ideal situation. Thus expect to see some harvest level gear over here. Luckily enough, our weapon doesn't need harvest or any legacy stuff. This one is 600 DPS jeweled foil that has attack speed, crit chance, and crit multi. Generally speaking, any weapon with crafted crit chance, crit multi, and over 500 physical DPS will do the trick. But to go alongside our weapon, we have a shield with tier 1 chance to block attack damage and as much life and resistances as possible. In addition, having 1% damage per 1% chance to block attack is a huge damage boost for just a single mod. Also, having a chance to shock attackers on block is a nice thing to have, although not necessary. Anyway, now we move on to one of this build's most iconic items, one that has been mirrored over 7 times since the first time I have showcased this build, and that is Skullward Golden Mantle. This triple elevated rare chest has the legacy 5% explode mod that gives you that buttery smooth clearing, 2% base crit chance to attacks, chance to gain a power charge on crit with increased damage per power charge, additional curse, tier 1 life, and tier 1 chaos resistance. It's pretty much best in slot option and I would not have it any other way. Our next item is an amulet with -9 to the total mana cost of Scale's Elrion Legacy mod. This one allows you to run Cyclone for free. It also reduces the cost of other skills, allowing us to reserve more mana overall. We also get 60% reduction to Pride overall mana reservation, that alongside life, crit chance, crit multi, and crafted AoE and area damage. Don't forget to anoint Tenacity on your amulet for that extra damage boost based on your investment in maximum life. Next on the list we have a pair of boots with elevated onslaught and elevated tailwind. We also have tier 1 movement speed, elusive on crit, and tier 1 life. These boots are certified fast AF. Anyway, next we have a rare belt with as much life, resistances, and damage modifiers as possible. For our gloves, we have ones with elevated impale and elevated culling strike for that extra AoE. That alongside tier 1 life, tier 1 attack speed, and a good resistance roll. With these gloves you will have 100% chance to impale at the end of the day. Our next item is a rare helm with 40% increased blood and sand buff effect. For those who doesn't know, this enchant is better for Cyclone than a dedicated Cyclone enchant. Blood and sand gives you more AoE while mapping and more damage while bossing, and this effect grows stronger with this enchant. Anyway, this helm also has lots of life, crit multi, and as many resistances as possible. Last but not least we have a pair of 2 steel rings. The first one has Assassin's Mark curse on hit. This is required to cap our crit chance. The ring also has life and has many damage modifiers alongside it. The second ring has vulnerability curse on hit. It also has the unique temple mod which provides 5% increased maximum life alongside the usual tier 1 life roll. And yeah, that was it for our items. Now if you are interested in replicating this belt and want a copy of a specific item I showcased, then make sure to let me know in the comment section and I will message you inside the game for the mirror service. Now let's talk about gems. Some remains unchanged but we will go over them regardless. For our main 6 link we have Cyclone, Awakened Melee Fizz, Awakened Brutality, Impale, Close Combat Support, and Anomalous Pulverize for maximum AoE. Next we have a 4 link setup that contains some auras like Pride, Herald of Purity, Anomalous Precision, and level 3 Enlighten. Our next setup is a continuation of the previous one. It has Dread Banner, Blood and Sand, and level 1 Vitality, with another level 3 Enlighten gem. Next we have a 3 link movement skill setup, starting with Leap Slam, faster attacks, and life tap support. Last but not least we have a couple of leftover gems. These includes Blood Rage, Cast when damage taken, and Steel Skin. And that was basically it for our gems. You can always check the BOB link down in the description for full details on my gems and mastery choices. Now let's talk about jewels. As always, we start with our Watcher's Eye. This one has +2 impale while affected by Pride, and increased life recovery rate while affected by Vitality, although it's not that necessary. Aside from that, every other remaining socket we have left is filled with a normal rare jewel like this one. Having life first is essential. After that we complement whatever resistances and attributes missing, and finally it's damage nodes all the way. Last but not least for Pantheons, for the Majors we have the Soul of the Brine King for freeze immunity, and for the Minors we take the Soul of Aberth for that reduction to ignite duration. For Bandits, we have Alira as usual. And yeah, that was it for our godly Cyclone build. As always, if you guys have enjoyed this video, then don't hesitate to leave a like, and maybe even subscribe so you don't miss out on any future build guides like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.